highs, and we see that the delta from that original sell, which was just before this area here, that delta from that original sell here, obviously seems to be a little bit light, but it's not that far off. Very, very close to being the same price. Slightly higher prices. Book is very bearish and an opportunity maybe to sell into it, but we've got to be careful now. As this price drops and we start seeing the delta retesting the lows here, of course the price is not retesting the lows. Somebody is buying in this space. So they've got a kind of hidden facility in here. It's not that hidden because you can see in terms of the book there's a little bit of a divergence in the book anyway, but it's not down into the low price, so it's not something we can measure with any great degree of certainty. So this is starting to stack up. Everything seems to be making sense. As we come up into the top line, of course, we can see that there's a fair spike in the deltas here. The price does a fair spike in terms of stops. The book is still incredibly negative in this phase here. Incredibly negative. So we know that there's going to be a sell trade up here. Price comes back down. The delta is way below the prior lows here. And obviously the price is still a way up. So there's definitely some dealer buying coming in here. The big trade is the dealer buy trade, because this is the actual trade, isn't it? The book is not actual. The delta is actual. So this is you might call it the spoof, but this could be the spoof. But this is the actual trade taking place here, isn't it? This is what we're seeing, physically seeing, in real trade terms. So this is the real trade. And this could be fake. It could be a spoof. It could be whatever, but it is definitely not as real. We don't know what it is. It might be 100% real, but we also know it could be manipulation. Could be. So when they tie in, everything's obvious. When they don't tie in, we start wondering. So we see this setting up here. We start to look at this setup and we see it coming back into the low price here. And you can see why I decided to buy the low price. You see this huge delta. Price getting absorbed here. I took a buy trade there, took it up, got a scratch out on the cash open. The cash open came in. There was huge buying on the cash open. There was a very large buy side delta on the cash open. And the price got jammed as soon as that buyer came in. When the price traded down to the bottom edges, I can now recognize that the ability to take the price below here was zero. There was no buyers. There was, no sellers coming in at that price. Nobody sold it. So my immediate reaction to the fact that nobody sold it is nobody gets shaken out of this. This must be really bullish. So I started to buy up the bottom edges against that Baltic. And that resulted in this buy trade here for 10 contracts. And obviously that 10 contracts at 41 is now trading at a 0.6. We've just made $660 profit per contract on a 10 lot, which is $6,600 profit on the full momentum trade off this low price just in here. The price now is up here. Pretty crazy or pretty obvious? I think it's pretty obvious. Now, do you agree with the trade is a different question. Well, I don't necessarily agree with it, but the inflation break-evens is one of the strongest storylines that we can ever have for oil. And as far as the bond traders were concerned, this oil has a lot of upside room. It's disagreed with by the guys that trade in the oil markets, but until I see that trade in the oil markets actually physically showing up by way of an absorption print, I'm not going to be selling oil against these guys. The bond guys nearly always get oil right. And that's exactly what inflation break-evens told us to be doing, was buy this low print. It's not telling us not to sell the high price. The supply line certainly seems to be slowly diverging into those high prints. But unless I see the bond guys wanting to get a piece of this on the inflation break-evens, I am quite happy to let this price go as far as it wants. It's now trading 70.10s. There is going to be a sell up here at 70.10s. I'm just watching for it developing from that inflation break-even bull, which has annihilated the price to the upside.